For experience, there is nobody quite like Simon Shaw, 36 years old, and such a tower of strength in the England second row. Not so much experience in that front row. David Wilson on the tight head. And no sooner did Martin Johnson declare a willingness to run the ball with Ricky Flutie in the centre, then out went the New Zealander to be replaced by Toby Flood. There's an old echo of Newcastle there. Johnny Wilkinson, Matthew Tate and Toby Flood all started there. For Wales, well, they said they were going to attack the England scrum, and then they promptly lost their two Lions front rowers. So Paul James and Gareth Williams come in. Adam Jones, the sole survivor of that Lions front row. And behind the scrum, Lee Byrne, the 16th man, had his ban reduced and takes his place at number 15 for Wales. Dan Hipkiss comes in as a late replacement onto the bench. Shantae Harpe was put on the bench after Flood's elevation, but he's gone down with a sickness bug. Irish referee Alain Roland, and both touch judges are from Ireland. Alain Roland checks, and Twickenham is about to declare the Six Nations of 2010 up and running. England first contact. Dylan Hartley picks up the scraps. Danny Kerr feeds prop Tim Payne. Simon Shaw. Wilkinson. Support from Mark Cueto coming off his wing.
Hands out!
James Haskell, who was playing with stitches in his eye, above his eye. Thumping tackle there on Dylan Hartley. England making no ground. Here goes Johnny Wilkinson, slips the tackle of Martin Williams. Ground made by Wilkinson. England still not up to halfway. Simon Shaw dragged down. Here's Toby Flood inside to Nick Easter, returning at number 8. Again, no ground made yet. The view from the spider cam. Wilkinson puts a left boot in very familiar fashion to the ball. Back goes Lee Byrne and Tom James. The minor for the 22.
Well, England doing well to win the kick-off, but 10 phases of play, during which time they went backwards 20-35 yards, and Wilkinson deciding that they didn't want to play any more rugby in their own half and to get the ball down into Welsh territory. It's testament, of course, to the Welsh defence, and it's only here if they can kick. Oh, and
Roberts takes it quickly and knocked it forward. Wales putting themselves under a great deal of pressure there.
Not necessarily. Well, it was on. The thing is, the pass was behind him there. If it had been put in front of him, he would have had more time. As it is, so he has to turn round. That lets Dylan Hartley even a chance. And if James Haskell could have gathered that ball, it was a man free.
Touch, pause, engage.
Scrum comes down on the near side. Paul James wearing 1 for Wales, number 3, David Wilson.
Well, this is an area which England have the dominance in the sense of that. They weight statistics, but well, it's a good solid scrum by England.
Scrum goes down, Danny Kerr juggles, hangs on, Shane Williams makes the tackle. They'll want to get him into touch. Kerr does well to stay in field. Cueto goes in to help the rucking process. James Haskell, all a bit laboured there. England, though, through their blindside wing forward, do make some yards, or some feet. Wilkinson takes on Martin Williams, support there from the front row. Dylan Hartley.
Hands out, Rent! Stay, stay!
Referee ordering Wales back. England playing a patient handling game. No ground made though, and there's the breakdown area, which is the quagmire of rugby.
The difficulty there, I think Toby Flood got turned in the tackle and realised that if he was going to let go of the ball, it would definitely be a turnover. There are Jimmy Roberts, and good work there by Gareth Williams. You can see doesn't want to release the ball because he knows it will go back onto the Welsh side after good defensive work. But as it is, the turnout is that Wales have got an attacking platform with their own putting.
I'm not sure whether this is very flattering, but little Gareth Williams reminds me a bit of you, Brian. He's very lively, very aggressive.
Is he a psychopath, though?
And not so accurate with the first line-out throw. England pick off that throw by Wales. So England have had all the possession so far. Care to put boot to it this time. Ryan Jones waits and doesn't make contact. And England are offside. Well, that's just an unforced error by England.
It is, and it's kickable. Good job for Wales because Martin Williams ran a block there which would have been a penalty, or should have been. Well, Simon Shaw is an experienced player, should know better.
Interesting. Stephen Jones has handed the kicking duties to James Hook for this one.
Well, he's right, even though the winger was behind the kicker. Shaw was in front of him, just emerging from the maul. If this does go over, it will be a reward for some well-organised defence by Wales early on. England had an opportunity just for a second on the blind side when they had numbers, but the ball didn't quite come back quickly enough.
Wales's long-range kicker Lee Halfpenny is on the bench today. This, though, is easily within James Hook's range. Just wide. No score at Twickenham. Johnny Wilkinson now of Toulon in France. Hanging kick. Ryan Jones waits and misses it again. Martin Williams picks up the scraps and Ryan Jones offers his support, and Wales are on the front foot for the first time. Stephen Jones, Lee Byrne, big Luke Charteris gets the offload in and away, but it doesn't find Tom James. Did that go forward on the deck? No. Wales still in possession. Gareth Cooper at scrum half. Martin Williams. Cooper again. Stephen Jones. James Hook. Martin Williams staying outside. One for Shane Williams to chase. Williams carrying England into touch. Excellent play by Wales. Johnny Wilkinson picked up and put out with the bins.
Well, I think that passage of play shows that if England cede anything to Wales in terms of loose possession, that the Welsh are sharp at the moment. Charteris getting his arms round, just not quite being able to put away, but Martin Williams making the most of a gap.
If the game is going to break down, Brian, and it become loose, then you could see the skills of Wales. Charteris looking for the offload from the second row. Martin Williams unafraid to try a kicking game.
But this
Gareth Williams, important for him. Martin Williams didn't look desperately straight, but on we play. Here is Gareth Williams at the tail, very busy in the loose. The Cardiff Blues hook up. Gethin Jenkins will be missed as a tackler, but Williams will be high on the tackle count. And England have turned it over. So Wales in their first foray into the England 22. Now watch England clearing their lines.
Stand. Okay, okay.
Shane Williams tempted to take it quickly to Leeburn.
Well, Wales, that's just imprecision. It's ill-disciplined in the sense that it's not executing the things as they know they can do, just allowing the ball to shoot back rather than being placed. And it deprives them of a very good attacking opportunity, and England are glad that they can take play well away from their line.
Adam Jones at the tail of the line-out. And England again pick off the Welsh line-out. Danny Kerr escapes the clutches. Stephen Jones has to make the tackle. Kerr goes for the offload.
Early tackle.
Early tackle.
Well, that's what Danny Kerr does best, and if England are to pick him at scrum half, there is no point in asking him to play a structured game in the way that other players do. Well, he decided that. I'm not sure Lewis Moody would have caught that anyway, actually.
Stephen Jones with the early tackle, and here go England up towards the Welsh 22.
Well, this is a very good platform here. Oh, well, there you are. Look at that possession. But Wales making full use. It just shows what their defence has been doing.
Steve Borthwick from near the tail calls. Oh, it's brilliantly taken by Nick Easter.
It was about a yard each side of the line, not straight.
Simon Shaw tackled by Martin Williams. Penalty. Player off his feet, playing the ball. Very simple, off your feet was the explanation. And England fortunate to get away with that, not straight, but they don't care, they don't care. Doesn't like it too much.
Difficult man to please, obviously. And England having weathered a little bit of a panic when Wales threatened to go through their line of defence, should now find themselves 3 points up. It will be some reflection from the balance of possession.
No problem for Johnny Wilkinson. England go into the lead at Twickenham, 3-0. Stephen Jones on halfway. All his forwards to his right. Lewis Moody catches.
It was a struffy kick-off, wasn't it?
And Ryan Jones is looking dazed after that tackle.
Okay.
Kick towards Leeburn. Well caught by Ugomonia, and the ball is there. Bouncing towards the touchline. Wales has scrambled it back. And Ryan Jones, way upfield, is receiving attention as the ball comes towards him. England fullback, Dylan Armitage.
Stand! Wait!
Not his greatest kick either. Stephen Jones tries to work something with Shea Williams and opts instead to put it high. Well taken, Danny Kerr. Mark Cueto. Dylan Hartley into touch.
Oh, Dylan Hartley has to step in field there if there's any chance of him being drifted out there. See the technical difference it makes when both the two England ball carriers push the ball back on contact. It makes the ball far quicker.
Looks like a stinger.
Yeah.
A jar to the shoulder.
Well, what happens is your neck and shoulder, it gets pushed over. That's where the sting comes from.
Andy Nicol.
Well, it's been an interesting start in this game here today. England have had a lot of possession, but if they're going to win this game, they're going to have to cut out the unforced errors and give away silly penalties. We look at this one here that we've got. We're using this new spider cam here. That's Simon Shaw, who's in front of the kicker. Danny Kerr is the scrum half, who's about to put this box kick in. Now if we just pan round here, what you see, this is what Simon Shaw does. He runs forward, he's in front of the kicker. You cannot go forward if you're in front of a kicker. And there's the referee, Alan Rowland, is right in the spot. You can see Simon Shaw goes in, engages him there, and he gives the penalty. Now if England are going to win this game, they've got their noses in front now, but they need to keep not giving away the penalties.
Andy Powell has won line out for Wales. Gareth Cooper towards Mark Cueto. Well taken.
Run away, 7!
Wilkinson. No real... Oh, there is a problem for Lee Byrne. Simple catch, and the safest pair of hands in the world miss it.
Well, obviously not.
Blood here.
Contrast there, Mark Cueto, super catch. Lee Byrne spilling the ball. That's a foot left there.
Skipper.
He knew what he was doing there.
You followed too late. No, the leg was left hanging there. Just be careful, all right? Don't leave the left leg hanging there.
Well, Alan Rowland saying don't leave the left leg hanging there, and if someone saw that, that's a penalty.
Take him off, yeah. Coming off for blood here, please.
But anyway, it's going to be a scrum. Actually, when the ball not fall from Byrne, Toby Flood for a second looked as though he gathered it and he would have been free.
Luke Charteris is coming off for blood. Bradley Davis of the Cardiff Blues comes on.
Time back on, please, Tim. Here we are. Thumb it down, white ball. Crouch!
Even so, a lot of tactical options here for England. The big blind side.
Alain Roland swaps sides. Paul James indicates, well, what does he indicate, Brian?
Well, he's indicating that he's quite right. He's saying that he's being bound on the arm. He's not supposed to bind it on the arm, he's supposed to bind it on the jersey of the torso. It's quite clear. I don't know why the touch just can't see it.
Stay in, go long, get up immediately, all right? Here's your mark, and stay there tight. Crouch.
David Wilson against Paul James. Nick Easter picks up, bounces it towards Toby Flood, who bounces it towards Lee Byrne.
10,
and Byrne fires a huge kick downfield. Johnny Wilkinson takes it quickly to Dylan Armitage. Ryan Jones is back for Wales. And Lee Byrne doesn't quite get the distance with that one.
I don't quite understand why Toby Flood felt the need to put boot to ball there, because it was 3-on-3. You know, why don't have a go? They've got a little bit of space. They are creative. Let people have a run.
Wales, off.
Luke Charteris is going to return to the field. Patched up, cut on his nose. Dylan Hartley prepares to throw into a line-out. Won by Nick Easter again. On comes the England drive. Danny Kerr looks for the inside runner. It's Johnny Wilkinson. Good clear-out work by England. Matthew Tate, reminiscent of his debut there, picked up not by Gavin Henson but by James Hook. James Haskell tackled by Andy Powell.
6 red, move!
And the ball slipped off the ground again. So a second penalty, an unforced error by Wales this time.
Well, Wales have been around long enough to know that you cannot shovel the ball back like that. It's made more obvious by the fact that it's shot out, it just dribbled back. And they also know that, well, I don't think is he going for goal? No, he's not going for goal, he's going for corner. Oh, interesting. Certainly got the distance. Oh, what a super kick that is. Oh!
Johnny Wilkinson takes England right down to the 5-metre line.
Well, you can see Martin Johnson, because he knows that this is an absolutely golden opportunity here And to take this and go more points up will be such an important psychological thing, won't it?
Dylan Hartley, Wales, they'll have to brace themselves for the drive. They don't compete. Steve Borthwick claims the ball. They're heading for the touchline, but on comes the forward drive now.
No, it's been held up.
Scrum.
Ball held up. Alain Roland perfectly positioned. Scrum 5 metres out. England put in.
Well, great defence by Wales to keep that up, but a good drive by England. It shows they got the measure
Time off, please.
of the drive. Don't panic, keep the ball at the back. Here we go. And it's the
Nick Easter in possession.
prop, I think. There you go, England surging forward.
So Wales will have to face the other set-piece threat from 5 metres out. David Wilson having attention. He'll want to take his place in the scrummage. David Wilson back on his feet.
You gave me a good scrum the last time, so you set your standards. Here we are. Time back on, please.
It's a very tight blindside here, but it is only 5 metres from the goal line. Dylan Hartley popped out of the scrum. Referee says both front rows went up. Paul James, Gareth Williams, Adam Jones against David Wilson, Dylan Hartley, Tim Payne on the loose head, and Wales have the penalty against David Wilson for going to ground.
Alan Rowland guessing at a collapse by Payne. He could have penalised him for binding incorrectly though. So morally or whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't understand why referees simply cannot see things that are a yard in front of them, like not binding where they should. And before people at home think, oh, it's a boring technical point, that's why things collapse. And that's dangerous. And that's why it's important.
Brian Moore from the Health and Safety Directive.
That's the third ball Wales have lost in the line-out.
It is. Nick Easter takes stolen ball a yard forward. Simon Shaw taken a yard backwards. Dylan Hartley. Martin Williams brings him down. England in possession though. This is better, and it's a poor pass though. Toby Flood. Tom James came in, read the situation well, had to make the tackle. England had an overlap, and James made the decision.
Well, great work by Dylan Hartley, making ground and also getting the ball back early. But it's a pass. What's the technical point here? When he goes to ground, there, that's that lay there. That means the ball is far enough away for Wales not to be able to slow it down, but the move is killed in the end by a poor pass. You see the men out there?
Wales with a put-in. Comfortable scrum for them. Cooper, Stephen Jones keeps it infield. Dylan Armitage waits. Oh, another wayward pass by England, but it's found Matthew Tate. Jamie Roberts tries to hold Tate up. Now Roberts leaves the ruck. Easter. Tackled by Gareth Williams. Hartley. Oh, England, the tacklers were queuing up for England then. They've done well to recycle that. And again, the kick is the option, but it's picked off by Alan Wynne-Jones. And Wales earn the penalty. Scrappy play all round, scrappy play. And Wales have the benefit of the penalty. Here's the kick. And it's very well taken by Alan Wynne-Jones.
More of a reflex, but doesn't matter. The reason the Welsh are on Dylan Hartley quickly there is that Danny Care has a flaw in that technical pass, because he stopped, then went again with the pass. If he just flicked the ball from, it's not two movements, but as soon as he keeps the ball in his hands, even for a split second, it gives the defence another 2 yards.
James Hook lines up another long shot at goal. That's well wide. Ugomonia dabs down, 22 dropout. Warren Gatland in the middle there. Neil Jenkins to his left, Robert Howley to his right. They'll be worried about the Welsh line-out. James Hook with the catch. Shane Williams. Andy Powell. Alan Wynne-Jones.
Roll away, 12. Stay back.
Stephen Jones drives on. Gareth Cooper. This time it's the Welsh scrum half who's caught by the fringe defence.
That's going to be a
Good drive by England, counter-wrecking. Luke Charteris picks the ball up.
Hands out. Stay back, White.
Hook. Shane Williams infield to Alan Wynne-Jones. Wales trying to get the passes away quickly before contact. Martin Williams takes the contact. Ryan Jones, he'll take contact too. Martin Williams gets to his feet slowly.
There it is. Stay back, White. Stay back.
Martin Williams sees a gap up the blind side. Wonderful work and vision by the Welsh open side flanker. Gareth Cooper arrives, little chip there for Shane Williams to chase. England had it well read by Mark Cueto, who takes it quickly.
Well, that's good work by
Mark Cueto.
Yeah, great work by Mark Cueto after some superb, well, it's just footballing skill, isn't it? Footballing nous. Sees what other people don't see. Manages also to stay in field.
Great awareness, great vision from Martin Williams.
It was, but see how well Cueto does, because he slid into touch there, and he was the man who took the chip kick.
Safe possession at the line-out. Hasn't been a feature of the Welsh first half. The little change of tactic there, the ball bounces, and it's bobbling around and it comes off. Welsh hands, second or first? First. England with the put-in.
Time off, please.
Colin Jarvis, have you been looking at the line-out?
Yeah, it's been a difficult time for Wales at line-out. Having lost the first 3 or 4, now they've managed to win one, but they're missing goals and they can't win line-out. So when they get into the England half, it's a question of what can they do with the ball when they win penalties.
Well, there's not only that, it's a question, if you don't get good or any first phase ball, the difficulty is that anything that flows from there is necessarily slow. And Wales are a team that thrive on ball going forward and pace. And if they don't get that, you know, then they, like a lot of teams, have a great deal of difficulty. And it allows England's defence to smother them and make the turnovers, which they have been doing.
Time back on, please, Jim. Where's your mark? There. Crouch.
Danny Care to feed the scrum.
Touch. Pause, engage.
And Gareth Cooper steals it, kicks for himself to chase. Matthew Tate goes back, makes the mark. Was the kick the right option?
No, it wasn't. Nowhere near. But, which is a shame, because there's some brilliant burglar work here. Look at this steal. Woof. But then, you know, that chip is one of the least effective weapons, and that's a poor kick.
Shane Williams has caught it. Williams, hook. Delivers for Cooper again. Paul James on the charge. Adam Jones first in, rolls the England tacklers out the way. Ryan Jones took man and ball. England slow possession up, but there it is. Andy Powell loses the ball. England can counter. Matthew Tate. Stephen Jones makes the tackle. Wilkinson.
Hands out, red!
Toby Flood. Charteris makes the tackle. And a good tackle it was, because Toby Flood couldn't play the ball immediately. Clung on, penalty to Wales.
Toby Flood taking. Right, straight on the ball there. Andy Powell on his feet. He's the first one. Well, that's simply his poor. It's poor control by England, but it's very swift reactions from Cooper, who then spoils it by taking the wrong option.
Change of kicker for Wales. Stephen Jones has taken over from James Hook, who's missed with 2.
This so far is not a high scoring game, and that's because a lot of errors have been made.
Has it the legs? It does. Scores a level, 3 points each.
And on balance, probably about the right score. It is a typical opening game of Six Nations. Not quite there, is it? A lot of moves, a bit of potential, but a lot of imprecision, which is hampering, you know, both sides scoring.
Fine strike by Stephen Jones. Johnny Wilkinson restarts. Jamie Roberts catches and delivers for Andy Powell. Is it now? Gareth Cooper now arrives.
Stand red, 5, wait!
Shane Williams in pursuit. Mark Cueto catches. Good offload by Cueto to Dylan Armitage. Stephen Jones makes the catch. Armitage up with a tackle. Lewis Moody there as well.
Wales have done well to control that.
Gareth Cooper kicks himself, not far. Bobbles back. Paul James picks up the scraps after Shane Williams seems to get hands to that. Stephen Jones, Lee Byrne gets the offload to James Hook. A little bit of adventure from Wales. Slow ball now though. Ugo Monye goes back, hasn't had much of the ball. Leaves it for Mark Cueto again. Ryan Jones. Lee Byrne straight down the middle of the field. Armitage. Stephen Jones. Lewis Moody. Did he catch him late? No. Ugo Monye, now he does have a chance. Jamie Roberts helps Martin Williams with the tackle. And the kicking contest resumes. That's not a great kick by Johnny Wilkinson. It's not a great catch either by Tom James. Recovers to find James Hook. There's the elusive qualities of James Hook. Wales still in possession. Gareth Cooper just checks where the alignment is. They go through the front row. Paul James. Stephen Jones towards Johnny Wilkinson, and up it goes again. Byrne. Ball still alive. Mark Cueto. Jamie Roberts makes the tackle.
Punch out, stay out, red, George, stay back now.
Well, this is something I don't like. You know, the referees haven't got the power to say, move that, play it.
Danny Kerr towards Lee Byrne, who drops it. 2 knock-ons.
Well, the last 2 or 3 minutes have contained multiple errors.
Time off there.
Well, that looked a lot worse first time round from a different angle. Lewis Moody, I think, had already taken off.
Well, I think the team out wants to be. I'm not really enough, right? Yeah.
There's not a lot of contact. If it gone clattering into him, I think he'd have made a right mess of Stephen Jones.
Yes, he would have.
Andy?
Well, I do. Just a few minutes ago, England had a real chance when they were down on the Welsh line, and from the line out, you thought there that there was going to be a try. But watch David Wilson come here on the right of the screen. The number 3, his right shoulder's gone. He's got no power. He doesn't bind on the right shoulder. He's obviously this what we call a stinger, and this led to a scrum. It was held up, and he's on the right-hand side. The number 3, he goes down, and it was a penalty. There you go. He's got no power, and he goes down, and it was a penalty for Wales.
Be interesting, Brian, to see if. Be interesting, Brian, if that right shoulder is fully functional again, because without it on the tight head.
Here we are. You need to make a bigger effort than that on their
Well,
ball.
he seems certainly able to bind where he wants to. There, right on the arm,
Have it in.
right in front of Alan Rowland. What does Alan Rowland do?
Free kick.
There you are. They don't have a clue. They do not have a
There
clue.
was nothing wrong. He could have cleared that scrum. It was square and steady.
Ryan Jones. Lewis Moody hangs on to enough to bring him down. Dylan Armitage. Jamie Roberts made the tackle. So slow from the rucks, from the breakdowns. Johnny Wilkinson, Lee Byrne. Oh, Lee Byrne. He's got away with it because Tom James was back there. It's not bad, but Lee Byrne's left boot would have hopefully made more ground than that for Wales.
Well, I hope this isn't the case, but I've had a feeling over the last 5 or 6 minutes that the teams have tightened up in the sense that they're getting nervy. There have been knock-ons and mistakes, a few penalties because of that, and I think they've become, where they had the initial surge of we'll keep the ball in hand and run back, I think they're retreating into the shells at the moment, which will not be good for the game.
Danny Kerr, little break there. Luke Charteris makes another important tackle. Nick Easter drives on. Ryan Jones tackles him. Dylan Hartley, the hooker.
You cannot trip a player. You
It's a
cannot
trip.
trip a player when he's in possession of the player. Off we go.
Yellow card for Alan Wynne-Jones for the trip.
Well, that's just half-witted, isn't it? Well spotted, Alan Rowland. Well spotted. It's a little silly little cheap shot, isn't it? It's the equivalent in football of a little, you know, didn't do a lot of damage, but just dull.
Alan Wynne-Jones 10 minutes in the bin for tripping Dylan Hartley and offering Johnny Wilkinson a penalty at goal.
Made worse by the fact that Alan Wynne-Jones is an experienced player. Wales have already struggled with the line-out anyway. He's the main line-out jumper, and he does that. I don't know what goes through his head.
England take the lead just before half-time. Alan Wynne-Jones with a trip, Johnny Wilkinson with a penalty. England 3 points ahead, 6-3.
Well, 5 minutes either side of half-time to play with a man up. And these are important points in any game. It's not, you know, it's not a bad one in the sense of the word, but the fact is he knows he shouldn't do that, and he's right, Alan Rowan right in front of him, going for his pocket immediately, and so he should have been. That's just thick.
James Haskell slightly across the field, but Andy Powell went high and was swatted off.
England have to go for it now. 5 minutes either side of half-time. They've got a chance here to make a significant point.
Tom James, Lee Byrne. This is what Byrne does very well, chase his own kicks.
Lost forward by Red.
Just got away from him. Alain Roland hesitated with the whistle. Tom James is away, but it won't count. The whistle did go.
Well, if I were Tom James, I'd have walked back with that ball, because then it would have killed the times. Yeah.
Nick Easter just did enough to put Lee Byrne off.
Tell you, England want to get on with this because they're a man up. Don't waste the time.
Crouch. Touch. Pause, engage.
Free kick to England. Danny Kerr does try to inject some pace into it. Gets past the tackle of Gareth Cooper. Johnny Wilkinson. Ugo Monya tackled by Martin Williams. That's the Welsh 22.
Release, Red.
Wilkinson is buried in the breakdown. England drive it up through the forwards, just over the 22. Kerr, Toby Flood, Matthew Tate. Tate. Kerr, Nick Easter. Stephen Jones takes a piggyback ride in front of the Welsh posts. England with the numbers here. Flood, Ugo Monya. Just short on the 5-metre line. There's the goal line. Here come the big guns for England. Can they get the ball down? Seems to be held up.
Well, if the ball comes wide now, they've men over, miles over. Cueto's all his own.
Dylan Hartley is there.
Someone's got to communicate
trying
that.
to dig the ball out. England that close to the goal line, and the Welsh defence holds firm.
Mark Cueto, bottom of your screen there, look at him. That is the closest Welsh player who's under the posts. Look at that.
I'm just thinking back to 2 years ago when Wales held out when England were all over them.
Yep.
Mark Cueto cannot believe the ball didn't come his way.
Oh, he's right.
Here we are.
Well, he decided to come inside rather than staying out, but this is the point here. Mark Cueto is screaming at the bottom on the far touchline, and no one saw him. The nearest Welsh player was on by the posts. That's how much room he had.
Alain Roland, shrill blast, but the scrum will only reset. Martin Johnson, Brian Smith in the dark tracksuit alongside him. Is it a chance for the three-quarters, or will the England forwards take it on first?
Well, they won't mind on the management bench.
When they hit, they won't go down, but you take just a bit of pressure. Okay, here we are. There's your mark.
They won't mind how they get over the line, but England, it's a prime opportunity. They got to...
Free kick, England. Danny Kerr takes it quickly. Held just short. The 7-man scrum not exposed because England took the free kick quickly. Lewis Moody there, trying to free the ball. England do try to come through the forwards. There's the ball laid back. They're over now.
No, scrumming out of 5. Can't see anything there.
Alain Roland well positioned again to deny England the try. But it is an 8-man England scrum against a 7-man Welsh back because Alan Wynne-Jones is in the bin.
Well, here we see Danny Kerr making the break. England need to be disciplined here, and I don't mean not kicking people on the floor. What I do mean is executing things properly, making sure that they don't trip over ball in the ruck, making sure they place ball and doesn't get bobbled around, so they can get quick ball, that the passes, if they go, are in front of the man. And Wales are desperately hanging on, but he won't come off even if he's got a couple of bangs.
Martin Williams, an egg beneath his right eye.
The warrior.
Sean Edwards on his feet, having a chat with Warren Gatland. Will the game hinge on these moments here? England with the one-man advantage. Parked 5 metres away from the Welsh line. Danny Kerr to feed the scrum. Nick Easter and Kerr make a mess of it. Wales survive the first threat to their line. Lewis Moody picks up.
Hands out, Red! Hands out, Red!
We're into overtime at the end of the first half.
Push back.
Ryan Jones goes in to do some blocking work. Wilson. Steve Borthwick on his shoulder.
Hands out, Red!
Ball's there, bounces down.
Sit
Lewis
back,
Moody
back.
is there again. Tim Payne picks up.
Roll away, Red! Away!
A question of feet, and Simon Shaw picks up. The feet turn into inches, but England still can't get over the Olympic until now. And I think it's the captain, I think it's Steve Borthwick.
No, it's James Haskell.
James Haskell scores for England. Martin Johnson heads for the changing room. And has the course of the game changed? England do score the try. Wales down to 14 men, concede the try.
Good one surge here, and Haskell, good awareness. He knows there's a gap there. I just thought initially the precision I was talking about was going to deny England a score between Easter and Danny Kerr bobbling around, but it's been rescued and patient by England, and Wales just couldn't hold on.
Johnny Wilkinson, simple conversion. Everybody heads for the break. James Haskell, the try scorer. England with the advantage. 13 points to 3 up at Twickenham at half-time.
Well, and this is a consequence of Alan Wynne-Jones tripping someone, isn't it? Pressure in the scrum, that's what happens, and England have taken full advantage of that. Brand Haskell, I don't know quite what he's doing there, but he scored, so it doesn't matter.
Colin turned to me and said, God, you know, Wales look battered. is the writing on the wall for Wales?
I feel it was a very difficult 6 or 7 minutes. Without that extra lock in the pass, they were under a lot of pressure. 10 points. They just needed to dig in at the end and come away. 6-3 half-time, they'd have been happy with that. But the try, it was just too much for Wales to defend.
It turned to me at one point and they just implored both teams to up the tempo, to play with quicker ball. Do you think England have heeded your plea a little better towards the end of that half?
Well, I think the ball's still fairly slow. It was just pure power that scored the try for them. And it's a shame for Alan Wynne-Jones to have to go off. But the referee was very strict. Off he goes, and it just kicked England into gear, and they played a lot more rugby then.
I know you're being slightly cheeky. You just said to me, that wasn't a yellow card, but it absolutely was, wasn't it?
Well, to the letter of the law, yeah, you know, it's not the right thing to do. But it's a huge consequence to Wales. That's the bad thing about it.
It certainly is. And in a key match like this, at the start of this championship, discipline is everything. Surely that's what Warren Gatling's going to be saying in the dressing room now, isn't he?
Yeah, you can imagine. It's like the Mike Bassett moment at half-time. And Wales, their line-out hasn't functioned properly. The goal kickers haven't been functioning very well. And unfortunately, then just discipline gives away the first half. And they can't afford that at this level.
Certainly can't. Good stuff. We'll talk to you again. Thank you.
Well, little things make all the difference, don't they, in international sport? And it seems absurd almost after 40 minutes of action to be talking about a little trip, which is basically all it was. But actually, it turned the course of that first half.
Yeah, the game's been very scrappy. You know, lots of mistakes. You know, both teams a little bit nervous, and we were looking like we were moving towards half-time and a bit of a stalemate. And as you say, the trip from Alan Wynne-Jones was, you know, interesting decision. Johnny Wilkinson obviously opted to go for goal, but you know, maybe in a different time. You know, it's just very, very silly. Dylan Hartley picks the ball up, and he's just, you know...
No, you must have done that a couple of times during your career. What goes through a forward's mind when, you know, to do something like that in front of the referee?
I pick the ball up at the base a lot. I've never been tripped up in my career, in fairness. But I tell you, if I did it, I would never have done it in front of the referee, that's for sure.
I know. I couldn't believe it. You know, they've been under the cosh. They haven't been in the game in the first half. They've been living off scraps, and then he does that. You know, it just... I can't believe he's done it.
It's the sort of thing that, you know, knowing Warren Gatlin and Sean Edwards, I'd be surprised if he comes back out for the second half. Because,
yeah.
But funnily enough, 12 months ago, you know, we were talking about England's lack of discipline, you know, with that whole barrage of yellow cards that we had game after game after game. So, in a sense, the worm has turned here. What's crucial, I think, is that they've got all the possession, that Wales have been making all the tackles, and you get into a situation there where when Jones gets sin-binned, and you could imagine what would they have got away with? Just... maybe a drop goal and gone in at 6-3, but to go in a score down as well and a conversion, England have really made that possession worthwhile. Well, I was mentioned that, you know, when he did trip him, they're down to 14 men. He's a second row, and then England go for goal. But it's worked out okay, Jonathan. It's worked out.
I thought, you know, the mindset maybe is like he should have gone for the line out of catch and drive or something.
I mean, the key thing from a Welsh point of view then was to hang on to half-time. And England had plenty of chances before they actually scored.
So this opportunity, if you spot it, they're two prop forwards, James and Adam Jones. 3-on-2, you've got to score there. What happens? This middleman comes on the inside run. What, you know, why does he do that? And then it's easy. It's a great tackle. Adam Jones makes the tackle on Ugamonye. It's a great effort by the prop. Look at them, they're scrambling across. There he is, stay outside. 3-on-2, and Shaw's a good footballer, but I don't know, their opportunities there, but they're not taking them.
It seems a great problem with modern rugby. You see, we had the two interviews from the coaches. I want the guys to play smart rugby, and they can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, even the chance hadn't gone either, because if they'd have recycled that ball, we can see Mark Coato there on the corner, just hands up in the air. So,
well, there wasn't the Welsh player within 40 yards of him.
Well, Lawrence said that, you know, they've got white line fever, you know, and that's what happened. All the forwards just went, there we are, I'm going to score, and just someone's got to dictate and say, hang on, the last Welsh defender was between the posts.
But Alan Wynne-Jones's absence had a direct bearing on the try.
I can assure you that, you know, we just, you know, Martin Johnson will be ecstatic. 13-3 up, you know. First time England have gone in at half-time with a bit of a cushion for a long time, and you know the forwards did what they're supposed to do very well, pick the ball up and drive it on, and Haskell spotted no one defending on the short side, and you know England have gone over, and it's a big score in the context of the game. It's a big score.
You couldn't argue. I don't think a lot of people, even the Welsh supporters watching, could argue that England don't deserve that. They put on the pressure. Wynne-Jones made this stupid mistake, and England capitalised on it. It's fantastic. Colin Jarvis alluded to some sort of fundamental problems for Wales. We'll talk about the goal kicking in a second, but what about the line-outs?
It just hasn't functioned. You know, they haven't had any ball. They haven't had any field position. So when you get into this position, you've got to win the line-out, win your first phase and go through the phases. And that's the problem. They've got involved in a kicking game when they haven't had any possession anyway.
Well, I think it's also shown how much they're missing Matthew Rees.
Yeah.
You know, he pulled out, he played a game for the Scarlets at the weekend, and you know he's clearly a very steady player for them, and they are missing him today.
What about the decision to kick with James hooked, first of all?
Well, that is very strange because he doesn't kick for the Ospreys, Bigger does. Stephen Jones has been kicking for Wales, he's been kicking for the Sentley Scarlets. There was a rumour that he had a tight groin before, at the start of the week. But then he missed, there's Hook, he pushes the first one, the second one I think that is, he hooked the first one, and then Stephen Jones steps up and kicks it. So I can't really understand, what was going on at the start. Surely that the two first kicks were within his range, and maybe he's just gone, look, we've missed two. Forget your groin, just try and bang it over.
And without sort of wishing to sort of over-egg this particular cake, the limited opportunities that Wales have, a couple especially, they have been squandered by Gareth Cooper.
Yes, they haven't had a lot of possession. And when they get into position, they've got to keep possession, go through the phases. Maybe he's had the nod from Shane Williams, but you've got to kick it higher for him to have a chance to compete. Cooper does well here and steals it. If he pulls it there, Martin Williams, as ever, is on his shoulder. If he kicks again, I wouldn't have kicked, but the kick is not high enough for someone to compete for it.
That's a classic example of a guy who's not playing week in, week out.
Yeah,
he's not got the confidence. He wants to do it all himself, forgets about the rest of the team and does it all.
Yeah, he's trying too hard, but they haven't had any possession, they haven't had any field position. If those two situations he's kicked, he should keep on to it and let's build to the phases and keep the ball in hand.
Well, I just think it'd be interesting to see how Wales come out, because when Wales have won here, it's because of their confidence. And when things go badly for Wales, the heads can go down. And England have got a nice cushion, and they can really build on it now. OK, listen, we'll talk more about this game in just a second, but obviously this is the second game of the Six Nations Championship this year, because the whole tournament began at Croke Park this afternoon when Ireland beat Italy by 29 points to 11. They scored 2 tries in the first half. Jamie Heaslip was the scorer of the first one after a quite stupendous cut-out pass a little bit earlier on during the move. But as you can see, the Italian defence at 6s and 7s there, and Heaslip over safely. Kane Robertson scored the only try for Italy, and we can see the second Irish try here, which was the first try in international rugby for Thomas O'Leary, as he just sneaks around the side of this ruck. So it finished 29-11. The second half was pretty unsatisfactory all round, really, and Brian O'Driscoll wasn't happy either.
Mediocre, I suppose. Reasonably good first half, and we never really got out of the blocks in the second half. They put up more of a fight and made it hard for ourselves, but we didn't really string phases together, and it was a bit stop-startish and didn't get any fluidity to our game. So it's difficult to kind of conjure anything up when it's broken like that. And so we're glad to hear the final whistle. Just got a bit frustrating then.
So Ireland victorious, and just to remind you, if you just switched on, 13-3 here at Twickenham, and the final leg of this first weekend of the Six Nations takes us to Murrayfield tomorrow. Scotland against France on air from 2:30. Great talk before this game as England come out, Lawrence, about England being more adventurous and playing with a kind of French elan. But I think we were discussing, until about 5 minutes from the end of the first half, I don't think Hugo Monod had the ball in his hands.
No, he hadn't, but international rugby is not won. Games of international rugby are not won by being adventurous at the start. But what I would say is that with the sin bin still affecting Wales, England have got to really go for it in the next 5 minutes. And if they do and they play sensibly, I don't think there's any way they can allow Wales to get back into this game.
Jonathan?
Very similar. 2 years ago, we were in a similar position, and we kept possession and run it back at England. I think they've got to do that again. They can't get into this kicking game again.
For me, England have got to get a bit more territory than they are than they've got possession. At the moment, Wyn Jones is still off for another few more minutes, and they've really got to make that count. If they get a penalty or another try, get ahead, it's a long road back for Wales. Well, the start of this second half could be really crucial in the outcome of this game. Let's rejoin Brian and Eddie.
Thank you, John. Long road ahead for Wales. Nick Easter, excellent first half for the England number 8, Stephen Jones, who scored Wales's 3 points. Restart. Simon Shaw takes it above his head. Important factor. Alun Wyn Jones still in the bin and will be for another couple of minutes. Care. Tom James comes forward for it. and drops it. Knock on. England will have a put in, so it won't be long before Alan Wynne-Jones comes back, but England will have a fine chance to attack from this scrum. No changes in the makeup of the teams at half-time. There's Tom James.
We're carrying on from the end of the first half, all right? Crouch.
That's the halfway line. Danny Kerr to feed the scrum.
Stay on 8.
Penalty against Andy Powell for breaking off the scrum.
Number 6, slipping right up. Or 8, where we going?
Johnny Wilkinson dropped one kick from hand so neatly into the corner. He'll be looking to do the same here. Hasn't quite made the yards perhaps he wanted, but it's still an attacking line out for England, and Wales have lost their main jumper on the opposition throw.
England taking full advantage in the first half and need to get any sort of score again to augment that.
Easter wins at the tail. Hartley picks up. Ball, I think it was out there. I think the referee would have let play go on. England, though, in control of it. The ball. Wilkinson, Flood. Oh, misunderstanding there between the old Newcastle players. Of course, they've gone on their travels since those days in the northeast. Turned it over to Wales, and Stephen Jones puts in a relieving kick towards Mark Cueto. Dylan Armitage. We're going aerial again. Lee Byrne.
Hands away!
Chance for Wales now, perhaps. Stephen Jones, James Hook, Tom James. Steve Borthwick did great work there to steal it back for England.
This is where they need quick ball.
Huge charge by the England forwards after their captain won the ball for them, and there is an overlap here. Matthew Tate to Nick Easter. Easter dragged down by Ryan Jones. Johnny Wilkinson goes on. Danny Kerr. Kerr for the line, and England strike again while Wales are down to 14. It's a very costly sin bin for Wales.
Well, when the ball went back and there's 30 seconds to go of this sin bin, Wales ought to have cleared the ball off the field. Instead, they kicked the ball long, kept it on the field, and from that, Danny Kerr. Well, this is good work here by the England forward, Steve Borthwick. Look, he's on his feet, ripping. Great work by the England captain. And a good surge by Easter, keeping the ball available. And Danny Kerr, all stood off him, you see. Can't do that with Danny Kerr.
Try for England scrum half. And what was a good cushion has become a very comfortable one, especially if Johnny Wilkinson can land this conversion.
Well, points either side of half-time are crucial, and England have got 2 scores now as a consequence of that Dullard action. And Wales are facing a very difficult task to come back from this now.
The 2 points are added, 4 out of 4 for Johnny Wilkinson. England up to 20, and the only good bit of news for Wales is that they are back to 15.
In addition to that, well, they just stand off, don't they, all looking, going blind.
Stephen Jones with the restart. Knock on by Dylan Armitage. Was it?
No.
No.
Don't stand in front.
Okay. Hasn't gone forward very far, but it's all England at the moment. They've reclaimed it, and here they come again. It's Easter. Dummies the kick. Tackled by Charteris.
Oh, 8! And 8!
You know, what I like about Easter is he seems to make the right decisions.
Hook. Tom James. James twisting, turning, up to the 22. Mark Cueto holds him up.
Okay, hands out, stay back 2.
England's midfield cohesion not quite there. Wales is through Shane Williams. Can he get the offload in? He can. Lee Byrne.
Hands out wide.
Wales would dearly love to strike back immediately. Alan Wynne-Jones nearly had his pass intercepted. Ryan Jones for the line.
Away wide.
This is a different Wales. This is 15-man Wales. Andy Powell. Quick ball they want now.
Hands out! Hands!
Gareth Cooper. He hesitates. England go. This could be yellow, is it? Stopping a possible try-scoring movement. Just the penalty.
You can't dive over a ruck at the halfback, okay? You've got to say anything.
I don't think he did dive over a ruck. I'd like to see this again. Well, that was fairly direct, wasn't it?
Scrum calls. Here we are.
Well, he got the ball. See, he's behind the back foot.
He's
there.
onside. Cooper's picked it
There's
up.
nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
Gareth Cooper was taking the steps that slow delivery, and Steve Borthwick caught him fair and square.
I'll tell you, Eddie, you know, from Wales' point of view, it's crucial they get a score of any kind now. 17 points down, immediately get the riposte. They must have something.
Penalty to Wales.
They need to kick this, get the points on the board.
This is a decision for captain Ryan Jones.
Scrum.
Trailing by 17 points, they're going for the scrum.
Well, they better get some points from this somewhere.
Crouch!
Because they were in danger of being shut out of it. They can get
Gareth
some
Cooper
sort of
thieves
score.
well scrum under pressure.
Yep.
Leave it, leave it. Hold on. Listen to me, I will talk to him as well. You just remember what you're supposed to do.
Adam
You
Jones
stay tight.
against Tim
and you
Payne.
get your arm up. No, get in there, tight. Don't be coming around. Okay, I won't let him come around. You go
Well, he's saying don't come around, but he didn't come around.
Here's
It was a
mark.
Welsh
Crouch.
puck that dived in.
Touch, pause, engage.
Better scrum for Wales. Oh, it's squirted out for Gareth Cooper. Still gets it away to Stephen Jones. Jamie Roberts gets over the advantage line, still going. 2 metres short, Jamie Roberts. Such a strength. Close to the line, Cooper must be. Alan Wynne-Jones to Adam Jones. The prop scores! And the man who was in the bin gave him the scoring pass. Wales are back in the game.
Well, I said they needed an immediate riposte, and well, they've done it.
What a moment for Adam Jones.
Good pass.
The spin pass from the second row and the dive from the tight head prop. And the conversion to come. Wales could be in a double figures. Stephen Jones. It's good. England 20, Wales 10.
Well, Wales showing some fight and spirit. That's a lovely pass. Adam Jones, he doesn't need Shane Williams.
What a finisher. Wilkinson stabs it forward. Lewis Moody does very well, but it's then well picked up by Gareth Williams.
Lost forward.
Wales have lost it forward. England have a chance to counter. We'll just have the scrum instead.
Scrum. On the pickup, somebody knocked it on, all right? Yeah.
This is England's scoring.
Here's your mark. You okay? You're both standing there? Here we go. Crouch. Touch. Pause engage.
Tom James 14, Jamie Roberts 12. Roberts involved in the build-up. England go the other way. Kerr puts it forward. Lee Byrne has it covered. Nick Easter back for England. Whoops. Tracked down by Ryan Jones. Spot of bother for Easter. England in trouble from the moment the ball bounced away from Nick Easter.
Well, I think you're a bit early on that, Eddie. I think the trouble came the moment he decided to run sideways. If he'd gone straight, did a little check, and then he got driven backwards. So he'd gone straight and made some yards. The supporting players who were coming backwards would have been there quicker. As it was, the Welsh smothered him.
Red 10. Okay.
Now then, Stephen Jones, from the area where he didn't kick off, from the distance that he didn't attempt in the first half. James Hook had 2 penalty shots at goal. From about this range, missed. Stephen Jones then took over and has landed 2 out of 2. This to continue the Welsh fight back. England scored 17 points while Wales were down to 14 men. 17-point binning. Jones, not going to be long enough.
Oh,
Armitage. That's a good clearance by the England
great
fullback.
clearance. You know, there are times when you're under pressure, when you do want the ball off the field, any old how. And from England's point of view, they're just rocking it slightly. Wales threatening to make a momentum shift change and just getting it off the field and allowing the defence to reorganise again, take a bit of time, makes a difference.
Especially when it means a line-out, where England have done very well on the Welsh throw. And that's not straight.
Oh.
And it's an ugly old area for Wales now, the line-out.
Scrum line out.
Yeah, it was nearly as not straight as it will be in this scrum. That's no good, is it? But, you know, a few degrees. Whereas this will be a lot of degrees.
No.
Free kick against England for going down early. Gareth Cooper takes it quickly. Andy Powell.
Advantage.
That's going to be a penalty against Simon Shaw.
Yep.
And
Alan
presumably-
Rowland, right, off his feet. What Simon Shaw is horizontal when he comes through this ruck. Alan Rowland, 2 good pieces of refereeing there. Pushing early, which England did.
Look at that.
See Simon Shaw here. There, right off his feet.
Wales didn't try the shot at goal. There's Hugh Bennett warming up. Hooker replacement, Gareth Williams, given the Welsh line-out, might have to give way. Paul James gives the instruction to Gareth Williams. Important throw for Wales. And it won't be Gareth Williams to throw into the line-out. On comes Hugh Bennett.
Well, Warren Gatland deciding that they simply can't go on. In a David Cameron sort of way, with the errant throwing. So the job passes over.
Long throw, Martin Williams. Very dangerous line out, so the change very nearly produced all sorts of benefits for Wales. Tom James comes off his wing into midfield.
I'm not entirely sure that was meant to go there in the lineup, but it doesn't matter, it's very effective.
Andy Powell turns, quick ball, that's all right for Wales. Jones, Martin Williams, infield to Jamie Roberts. Roberts has the strength just to hold himself upright for a second or two. Cooper delays. Stephen Jones, chance of an overlap. James Hook, Toby Flood, can't take him in. Tom James, knock on by Wales. Tom James thinks it came off an English hand.
And I have some sympathy with him at first glance. Well, see that again.
Scrum. Let's go.
No, came off his chest.
Time off.
And Alan Rowland perfectly positioned as well. Oh, well, he knew that as well. That's cheeky. That's cheeky contesting that, because he knew that in his chest.
Okay. Your second rows are pushing in before they engage.
England scrum, but they are under pressure here. Built themselves a very good lead, and now it's defensive duty against 15-man Wales.
Nick Easter reminding everyone of their duty to concentrate.
Good well scrum, Martin Williams hooks it back in.
Oh, so near. Now who's put in?
The forwards telling Stephen Jones to get back the outside half.
They very nearly nicked that one.
Time off here, please, injury.
Oh, this is one injury Wales do not want. Adam Jones.
Red.
Well, let's have a look what happened here. Now, the reason that England are under pressure there is because Dylan Hartley didn't strike the ball cleanly. The reason he didn't strike the ball cleanly was because it was so badly fed they didn't allow him to sweep it round.
Andy?
Eddie, when Danny Kerr scored the try there at the start of the second half, I wondered watching it live how there was so much space. But you can see here, I've just highlighted, we'll stop it here. Watch what's in the circle. That's Gareth Williams, the hooker, and Simon Shaw. Now, Gareth Williams would have been the first guy. Look what happens. He takes him down by the ankle, and that is where the space was for Danny Kerr to go through for the try.
Okay, crouch.
A good forward play.
That's the England goal line.
Touch, forward, engage.
Danny Kerr to feed. Good well scrum again. Oh, and England get the penalty. Not driving straight.
Number one.
But that's against a loose head. Well,
On the 5.
well, Wales are mystified. I'm mystified. The only person who's not mystified is Alan Rowland, who I don't think has ever played in the front row. Alan Rowland has had a very good game, apart from the scrummages.
Numbers!
He has got twisted, but if you look, the person who's parallel to the touchline, he's still the Welsh player.
Dylan Hartley to throw into a reduced line-out.
Hold it. Touch the mark. Step it out. Step it out. Stay there. Thank you. Here we go. 2 meters. Add 2. Add 2. 2.
Steve Borthwick. Danny Kerr. Ryan Jones is underneath it. Oh, and again the ball bounces. Shane Williams couldn't trap it with his foot. England pour forward.
Wide.
Easter still. Tackled by Stephen Jones. Easter drives on towards the 22. Cueto. Tom James goes back. Gareth Cooper goes back. And the ball goes out of play as Ugo Monya chased it down.
Well, that could have gone anywhere, couldn't it, from the collision? Nice little kick. The difference between Mark Cueto is an intelligent player. When he puts a grubber kick in like that, the difference between that and the spectacle chip over the tops is that they can't be marked, those balls. The player can't just catch it in mid-air. That's why they're more effective.
Well, we had England under pressure 5 metres out from their own line, and now it's Wales's turn. Feeding a scrum 5 metres out. There again, referee swaps sides to see what Adam Jones and Tim Payne are up to.
People screaming, so okay, to make it a bit louder, it's going to time.
Second!
Crouch!
Wait. Sink!
Touch, pause, engage! Stay back, 9!
Ryan Jones picks up.
Push back!
It's all about responsibility for the kick. Cooper takes it on. Armitage knocks on.
Advantage red.
Hugh Bennett clears up for Wales. Cooper kicks again. Johnny Wilkinson is back. No advantage, will go back to the original knock-on by Armitage.
Well, it's good work by the Welsh scrum.
Okay, 2 and 3.
Stayed
Time
solid,
off,
gave them a
please.
platform.
2 and 3 substitutions. 2 and 3 replacements, please.
Well, Monya colliding with him, having been shoved. But,
Changes for England. On come the front row replacements. Dan Cole of Leicester. First cap for Dan Cole. David Wilson goes off. And also a change at hooker. Dylan Hartley comes off. And Steve Thompson, World Cup winner back in 2003. What a great comeback by the England hooker.
well, the job that Cole did recently at tight end for Leicester, allied to Thompson's scrummaging power, could give Wales a lot of problems.
That's okay though for Wales.
No,
Gareth
well.
Cooper comes away. Tom James worked the touchline well. James runs out of space. Ugo Monya back. Ryan Jones arrives. Andy Powell got there first. Somehow the ball stayed in play. Here is first touch for Dan Cole.
Hands out, forward! Leave it!
So Tom James there, whatever he does, whatever decision it has to result in the ball staying in play when you've got that much ground and England are backpedaling.
Danny Kerr. James might be involved again. Lee Byrne waits. James inside him. Byrne. Tackled by Steve Thompson.
Hands out!
James plays scrum half now.
Stand. Wait. Okay.
Johnny Wilkinson. Ryan Jones waits. Jones does well.
Hands out, White!
James Hook. Ooh. A lot of bouncing balls in the midfield on both sides.
Stay back, stay out of it!
Wales have got it back. Jones, the change of pace on the ball, and the ball still bounces around. Danny Kerr grabbed it in the end.
It's unusual to see Wales struggle for fluency as well when they get ball, because the backs have been very
Behind the
capable.
ball! Hands out, red!
Pile of bodies on the floor. Ball comes out and has to be taken on by the forwards. It's
Push
so
back!
laboured.
Hands out, red! Stay.
Johnny Wilkinson says, let's put a test against the Welsh line-out again.
Okay, George. Okay.
Well, Wilkinson is
No, different ball.
experienced enough to know that
Different ball.
Wales are struggling on their line out, and to put the play in the area of the field, which he has done. He's saying to the Welsh backs,
Let's go, Reds.
if you do get the ball, you're not going to have to work 50 yards to our line, you're going to have to work 70 or 80.
Alan Wynne-Jones, Cooper, Tom James sets off in pursuit. Armitage waits and gathers. The white comfort blanket of the forwards closes around him.
They've done well there.
Hands out, red!
Bradley Davis there on as a replacement, 18.
Stand!
Ryan Jones tackled by Lewis Moody. He did well to get the ball away then, the Welsh captain. Hook. Got the pass away in the end to Lee Byrne. Shane Williams inside to Alan Wynne-Jones. England have a lot of white shirts there, but Wales has secured it. Jones. Now this is interesting. Tom James. Ryan Jones knocks on. The pass from James just floating away from the Welsh captain. Turnover ball for England.
England want to go if they get this ball.
Knock on.
Easter to Steve Thompson. Now playing out in Brive in France. Oh, good counter-rucking by Wales, but no advantage. England put in at a scrum. This is the opening Saturday of the Six Nations, but plenty more tomorrow. Scotland at home to France.
Which could be very interesting, couldn't it?
And the forum after this very match. It's the red button time in the Six Nations.
You okay?
There's the
Time off,
email address. Colin, as Tom James leaves the field. Any views on what Wales have to do?
Well, unfortunately, the swing in momentum with the 10 minutes of the sin bin just gave England too many points. They haven't managed to get a grip in the second half. And unfortunately, we don't want another yellow card to open up the game, but it just, Wales really needs something to happen.
Shine back on, please. Jim. Crouch.
Seconds. Sink.
Touch. Pause. Engage.
England just inside their own half. Danny Kent again goes under the feet of the second row. So
I'm pushing early. Both illegal. It's a joke, isn't it?
They've already lost one. Yeah, that's it.
Well, Kerr today has done something spectacularly well, and made surprising, some basic errors in others, but overall his contribution to enlivening the proceedings has been undoubted.
Waits again for Nick Easter to protect it for him. Johnny Wilkinson. Shane Williams. Ball has gone loose to an Armitage. Oof. That could have led to a try in either direction. Certainly a breakout.
To a difference in their kicking strategy as well, just in the second half, certainly. When England kicked the ball there were 2 or 3 chases, Wales a few times have just dinked the ball with one-on-ones, and for example, the last one down on England's touchline here, with a one-on-one tackle, England had the time to get back and retain the ball and drive it forward.
Steve Thompson. Stolen by Wales. Martin Williams at scrum half. James Hook. Lee Byrne through Matthew Tate. Hugh Bennett. Oh well. The shuffle.
Hands out, White. Stay back.
Andy Powell stays on his feet, turns away from the tacklers. Just gives Wales a little bit of a platform. Quickish for them now. Again, bouncing ball in midfield. Makes life so difficult
it does,
for the attackers.
Little imprecision stops the whole move dead.
Hook.
Stay back.
Shane Williams into midfield, finds Lee Byrne. Here's Hook again, involved in just about everything in the Welsh handling game. Stephen Jones, trouble here. Oh, knock on by Simon Shaw. But
well, what a passage of play that was. Comedy of errors. And these are basic mistakes, the like of which we have not seen from a Welsh side consistently for quite a few seasons now. Look at that pass. It looked as though Hook had dropped that, but when you see it, that's an awful pass to him. There's no excuse for that. I mean, the margin for error there is about 2 yards. And he's not slinging the ball over, 30, 40 metres as a quarterback.
Time off, please.
There's nothing Jones can do with that, because even if he catches the ball, he's in mid-air, has to come down again, which means he can't run at pace.
Well, I think here's the answer. Gareth Cooper gives way to scrum half Richie Rees of the Cardiff Blues.
Might be a bit late.
It's the quest for precision, and there are other changes too. Andy Powell goes off. Jonathan Thomas comes on into the Welsh back row. Inaccuracy costing Wales. They're chasing the game. They're trailing by 10 points.
Stay on! Use it! Okay, ball is out. Away, White, away!
First pass coming up from Richie Rees. Finds Stephen Jones. Oh dear. And the inaccuracy...
It's contagious.
...grows.
Well, I wondered how much the injuries to Wales.
That's how Wales started. 5 of them have gone. Lee Halfpenny is on. Richie Rees, Hugh Bennett, Bradley Davis, and now Jonathan Thomas.
Well, as I was saying, interesting to see the speculation before the game as to how Wales would miss their injured players, and they certainly missed Phillips. And Gethin Jenkins for his work right around the field and his scrummaging. So those 2 absentees have been badly missed. Meanwhile,
good counter shoving by Wales. It wasn't exactly a ruck, it was a bit of everything. Turnover.
Well.
Must be a penalty. Ball carrier was turned, tried to twist his way back into the correct position. Penalty awarded by Alain Roland.
Good gang tackling. Now, from Wales' point of view, it is again they haven't had many excursions deep into England territory, and they need, with every one that they make from now on, to come away with some form of score.
Lewis Deacon comes on into the second row. Simon Shaw is coming off. Last 10 minutes. A Welsh score now would certainly liven things up. As you say, Brian, it's been one of those typical Six Nations starters. Full of errors, full of inaccuracy. Oh, there's another one. Wales overthrowing the line out. Lewis Moody swoops forward, and there's the ball. Very well presented for Danny Kerr, Johnny Wilkinson.
Stand 18.
Right-footed. Shane Williams catches. Kicks. Lee Byrne chases. Off an England player. Adam Jones, the Welsh try-scorer. Ryan Jones, the Welsh captain. Advantage still being played for Wales. Richie Rees, advantage now over. Shane Williams.
Push back.
Rees. Alan Wynne-Jones. Jonathan Thomas, one of the 5 replacements for Wales. Hook. Good handoff by Hook. It's one of his strengths. It's a very powerful weapon. Jamie Roberts on the far side, which means that the midfield has plenty of forwards in it. Now it's more open for Wales. Jonathan Thomas outside James Hook. Wonderful run by James Hook. There's that handoff. There's the finish by Hook. Brilliant. Great solo try, James Hook.
Well, he saw the opportunity, didn't he? He saw there was a forward in front of him, and he had the power and the ambition, and he's put it right back. All bets are off at the moment. There you are, he's left floundering. Matthew Tate, the quicker guy, drifts out, and Hook realises this. Off you go. Tremendous work.
It's a vicious handoff, isn't it? It's an excellent weapon to have.
It is, but it's the decision-making to understand who is in front of you, what to do about it.
Stephen Jones converts. England 20, Wales 17. What a final 8 minutes we're going to have.
And in the vernacular of Sir Alex Ferguson, it's squeaky bum time. Tim Payton not helping himself by going high.
But the pace worked as well, didn't it?
Oh, it did. Look, it was decision-making and, you know, backing yourself. Tremendous try.
Right, what has this game got left? Shane Williams to Stephen Jones. One priority to make sure attacks come from the right area of the field, so both teams prepared to kick downfield. Here's Lee Byrne. That's over the head of Armitage.
Okay, you're good to go.
Bounces around. Wilkinson. Ryan Jones waits. Jones across field, then straightens.
Hands out!
Richie Rees seems to have made a little difference. Accuracy with his pass. Hook. Mark Cueto comes back and waits. Does well to get a clearing kick in, but now there's a chance. Martin Williams, Stephen Jones, Ryan Jones on his shoulder. Jones cuts back against the traffic.
Hands out, White!
Rees. James Hook, the try scorer. Lee Halfpenny.
Save!
Paul James hovers over the ball. Hook pushes him out the way. Slow ball. Bradley Davis will drive it up for Wales. Richie Rees. Again, good accurate pass. Oh, interception! England are away. Toby Flood comes away. Matthew Tate. Interception by England. Shane Williams takes them down, but it's going to be a second try for James Haskell. And England could have sealed the game. Wales gift them a try.
Well, there have been 2 or 3 occasions in the second half where there have been almost interceptions. That was an actual one, and England did very well to convert that. They kept the head. So often you see those, they put down. That's a change of angle that does it. Oh, made a decision there to pass somewhat may without looking. And that's good play by Matthew Tate, taking the defender inside and out.
And 2 tries for James Haskell. Under 5 minutes left. Johnny Wilkinson will eat up a few more seconds with his familiar routine. This to put England 10 points ahead again.
Yeah.
Wilkinson is successful. England 27, Wales 17.
And that was a killer score, not just because it's a length of field try, but because it came when Wales were threatening. They'd scored 14 unanswered points, and the momentum was with them, and that killed everything stone dead, and they won't come back from here.
Wales have regained possession. Shane Williams at the blind side. England flock back.
Hands out, hands out!
Good work by Wales's record try scorer. Is there anything more to come in this game? Another twist, another turn. Wales have possession. Jones, Jonathan Thomas.
Push back!
Rees.
Yes, that's okay. Okay. There it is, the ball is there, he's on his feet.
Oh, good work by Moody.
Turnover ball, Lewis Moody engineered that. That could be Wales's last chance gone. They have to score twice. They needed to come away with some points from that attack. England clear their lines. Hugh Bennett
Time off, please, Jim.
waits. Time off, says the referee. England
12.
make a change. Danny Hipkiss comes on, and Toby Flood goes off. Hipkiss, who was called up late to the England bench.
England!
Hugh Bennett. It's well taken by Jonathan Thomas. 3 minutes left. Wales have to score and then score again. England have to just defend. I say just. Jamie Roberts from a standing start can't do much. Penalty to England. It should be within range for Johnny Wilkinson. I'm sure he'll have a go, if only to take the game to its conclusion. On the clock. England have a change at scrum half. Paul Hodgson is on. Brian, you've had a chance to think about this. Your man of the match
is James Brand-Haskell. Muscular performance and 2 tries. Very influential. Hasn't always been my favourite player, but today he can't deny his contribution. He's played well. Very significant contributions to England's win.
That's the halfway line behind Johnny Wilkinson. Superbly struck by Johnny Wilkinson. England reach 30. That should be the game, but it is the game sealed. Andy Nicol.
Well, Eddie, when Wales look back on this and see how they've lost the game, it might come down to this. James Hook, this was just after Adam Jones's try. Everyone thought this was a knock-on, but look at this. Tom James here doesn't touch any part of the ball there on his hand. It's off his chest. That would have been straight. If he'd gone down on that, it was going to be a try.
Superb catch by Mark Cueto. Last minute of the game. I think the referee has ordered a scrum.
I can't give you the reason for this, Eddie, but Wales to me today have been unusually indecisive. I haven't detected the usual pattern I see from Wales. England have put them under pressure in many areas, but that doesn't account necessarily for the way in which their backs just haven't functioned at all, really.
But the key to the whole game was the sin binning of Alan Wynne-Jones. Wales conceded 17 points while their second row was away, and their winning margin is 13 points.
That's once now.
Last 5 seconds. We are now into overtime, and Steve Thompson can just rumble towards the touchline. He gives it to Paul Hodgson. The referee's whistle goes. England have opened their Six Nations account with a victory. Martin Johnson will be pleased. Double try scorer James Haskell will be delighted. Twickenham will be satisfied. Wales, much work to be done. It was a game littered with mistakes, but it has turned out sweetly for England. They have beaten Wales by 13 points to 17.
Deserved win by England, taking full opportunity of the Welsh 10 minutes with 14 men. OK, it wasn't perfect, nothing ever is. It was a typical opening game. England are not good starters in the Six Nations. The thing is, from here, they can build. Wales, well, they won't be satisfied with the loss, but more so the manner of the loss, I think. Didn't play with any fluidity, even when they, until they were right at they showed a lot of heart today, and the scores came through that. But it's rare to see, imprecision in such numbers from Wales. Balls sprayed up, down, on the floor.
Well, as pedestrian as the first half was, from an entertainment point of view, wasn't that a tremendous second half? I bet you didn't leave to go and put the kettle on during that. That was great stuff. And Jonathan, I mean, England are the victors, but in a sense, do you think from a Welsh point of view, that's an opportunity squandered?
Well, the way they came back into the game, the Tom James chest or pass or whatever it was.
We'll analyse that in a second.
You know, they had their opportunities because they didn't play well in the first half. They kept the ball in hand in the second half, and they put themselves in a position to win it because England stopped playing and kicked possession away, which gave Wales the opportunity. And then maybe they chased the game a little bit too early, and then they had another sucker punch with Haskell's try.
Talking of James Haskell, he's the man of the match.
And resplendent with his medal as the RBS Six Nations Man of the Match here. Is there a sense of relief, James, that you got over the finish line? It's very little in it with about 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, you know, when you play Wales, you're always going to play a very tough physical side who are always going to make things very difficult for you. And, you know, they've got a quality that means you have to go for the full 80 minutes. And today, at times, we didn't do that, but we've created a great atmosphere here. We're very excited about what we're doing, and this is a step in the right direction for us.
Do you feel that trip by Alan Wynne-Jones on Dylan Hartley, was that the turning point in many ways for you?
No, I mean, I think, you know, a game like this is all about, you know, without being cliché, it's about the inches, you know, it's about possession here, about taking control. And as I said, we worked very hard. We've wanted to have a win for a long time. And I think the spirit out there today by the guys and all the management, everyone, it was all pushed forward in the right direction. We're very pleased with it.
There were times here in the autumn when this crowd jeered England. So how pleased in the sense that you've put some smiles back on the faces?
Yeah, amazing. You know, when we run out the tunnel, you know, all the boys often turn to each other and say, this is the reason we play. When the crowd is behind you, when there's a fantastic atmosphere at Twickenham. And to make them proud of us today, that's what playing rugby is all about.
Couldn't you have just put the ball down for that second try? It was very flamboyant, James.
It was my second try for England ever, so I had to do a little bit of a dive. It wasn't brilliant. I'm going to get some stick for celebrations, I'm sure.
You are. So you're telling me you wait for one and then two come at once. Is that the idea?
Yeah. I'm just pleased that I managed to beat Crofty over the line, because poor bloke's had 5 tries just allowed each time, and I've managed to creep over, so I'm pleased.
Well done today.
Thank you.
And if you're wondering why England are wearing those shirts which don't have any advertising logos or anything on them, it's because it's the centenary of Twickenham. It's 100 years since the first England-Wales game here, and those are replicas of what was worn 100 years ago, and when England won the opening fixture, and they've won today by 30 points to 17. So, Lawrence, how pleased do you think Martin Johnson and his cohorts will be with